Hi guys, a lot of you who watch my videos on YouTube probably noticed that I use a parachute to stop my car, and many of you have asked that I make a video to demonstrate how to do this. So that's what this video is for, to show you how to build your own parachute mechanism to stop your car. In the racing world, we refer to this as aerodynamic braking, which is just a fancy word for throwing a sock out behind your car to slow you down. I am not at all part of the RC world, so I'm not familiar with some of the things they do, but I never have quite understood why the RC guys don't do this, because to me it works the same in RC as it does in in drag racing. It allows you to hold the throttle down longer and stop faster. Why would you not want that, especially with heavy cars? But anyhow, regardless, this video is to show you how to do that, whether or not you want to do it or not. But anyhow, first of all, we're going to go into the parachute itself and discuss how it's made. The first parachute I made, I just literally took a bandana and sewed the corners over, so that instead of having 4 corners, it had 8. Now let me see if I can show you what I mean by that. Basically, I had flipped the corners in like this and sewed them along this line, right through here and through here. Now instead of having 4 corners, you have 8. Fairly simple, right? Now, like I said, to start off with, I was using a regular bandana, and it works fine. And then at the corners, I would take and punch a tiny hole, and I would press in these, I don't know what you call them. I got this stuff at Hobby Lobby. It's just I guess that people sewing clothes or whatever would make this, maybe for like shoelaces or something. But anyhow, these just press in, and they are, if you do it right, they're a smooth steel or metal surface for your cords to pull on and not tear the parachute apart and not fray your lines. So you're going to put one of those in each corner all the way around. And or at least this is how I did it. And I have 8 pull points, right? Fairly simple, right? Then I take a fairly fine nylon cord and tie to the parachute. See if I can get a picture of this. Like this. At each of these 8 points. And the way I did it is I tied here, then I went straight across with the same line to the opposite side and tied the other end of my line off. I used 4 lines to make 8 cords, right? So basically I had 4 tethers going from here to the opposite side. Then I would take and I would stretch them, put a rod through every one of these so they're all at the same height. I pulled even distance all the way out and tied a couple loops so that I had a pull point to attach this to. If you can see that, it's not wanting to focus that well for whatever reason. But I don't know why that's not focusing, but anyhow. Then I had the parachute made and the 8 primary straps to get you down to 1 strap, right? And the one primary strap going to the car is probably about 24 inches or so long. That's the way it is right now, anyhow. Okay, this is the RC car that I affectionately refer to as the Annihilator. And this is the parachute mechanism that we use to store the parachute and then hopefully release it at the right moment. And this is how we're going to do that. This is basically just a cylinder with a piston in it on a spring. It's really nothing more to it. And the way this works is turn this around where you can get it. This piston in this barrel is going to be all the way in like this. And I have a hole drilled all the way through this barrel like this. Now this hole is so that I can put a key in it. Get it started here. Like this. To, I guess you might say, arm or cock the mechanism for storing the parachute. Pretty simple, really. Now, what I do is I first put in a little piece of paper, just shop rag or whatever, as a kind of wadding, a base for the parachute to sit on. And then the parachute itself, I try to fold as neat as possible, although I don't really know how much that matters. In drag cars we kind of just wad them up any old way and they seem to work just fine. But anyhow, the big thing is you don't want your lines getting tangled up and snaring each other and then, you know, getting a mess so they won't deploy. So basically I'm going to take this line and wrap it around my finger here and try to coil it up as neat as I can, like this. And then I'm going to place it in the barrel, like so. And the parachute on top of it, like this. Simple enough. Like I say, the wadding is to keep the cords of the parachute from getting stuck in the piston. I don't want the piston flying out and pinching a cord and causing the parachute to fail. If that paper's there, the cord can't get stuck there, and it keeps everything kind of going smoothly. Alright, now for the bag of this apparatus, I just use it's a canvas-like material that, once again, I got at Hobby Lobby. It's like I say, it's a canvas material like a sack might be made of or whatever. And I go around it, and I actually have it. It's glued on here with epoxy, just 5-minute epoxy. Glue it on, and you'll have to experiment a little bit with how long it needs to be so that it catches, so that it holds the parachute right. And then I have 3 eyelets in it. Same style eyelet that I used to make the parachute. And this thing has 3 flaps, 3 sides. At first I did 4, kind of like a full-scale drag car. But what I've found is that in this RC stuff, this works better. 4 is kind of a bit much to work with, and 3 works better, in my experience. And it looks fine. But anyhow, once you get your parachute into the tank here, you got a release cable. It's going to go like this. And that's it, pretty much. It's ready to go. With the exception of, we're still got our locking pin in here, right? So there's really no tension on the bag yet, right? Right now we're going to leave that just like that. Okay, now let's go to the rest of the car. This, the release cable itself, I just use welding wire, just MIG wire, and it's fairly heavy. I would say it's 040 or 45, somewhere in there, diameter. At first I was using some like 031 stuff, and it would bend easy, works fine, but this seems to work way better. Just a little bit bigger stuff. It's just more durable and doesn't give much trouble. The apparatus here is bolted straight to the back of this car. In this case, it's a Trax 601. I used to Velcro this on, right, which works fine, but it's kind of sloppy. And the reason I did that is because I figured if I crashed, it would just knock this off and not damage it. And that's true. That's generally what happens. But when you fix it with bolts, it's a whole lot more sturdy, and there's less lost motion. When this cable's pulled, the other one would kind of shift a little bit, and it was not as effective at releasing the parachute itself. When it's bolted on, it works way better. I wish I did that from day one. Anyhow, as far as releasing it, let's go over here in all this mess. I just have a servo and a servo arm, kind of a long arm. I'm using I want as much stroke as possible to move this wire as far as I can. So I'm using a long arm and the hole all the way out on the end. I'll just simply loop the wire through there, bend it back. It's fairly stiff wire, it's not going anywhere. And that's it. This is just taped onto the backbone of this car, and that's it. Now, to show you this in action, let me first cock this. You do that by just pulling this out. Usually I take something and tap it a little bit to get that piston to move in the bore and push on the parachute. And then to turn the car so you can see. I'll just do this by hand right now. Basically just pull the wire, and out she comes, just like that. Really nothing to it. Okay, back in the car again. This servo is, in this case, it's mounted right on the backbone of the car. It's wired into the receiver. Now what I did is you obviously need a way to manipulate this servo while you're driving the car. So I realized I needed another channel. And what I did is I had a Traxxas funny car that has effectively a trans brake button on it. And what it's doing is using another channel. And basically I just used that switch on that controller and bind that controller to this. And I'm using that channel to release to run this servo. There's really nothing to it. It's really not much work at all to do that. Only thing is you're going to have to source that transmitter, which is no big deal. But that's how I do that. I'm sure there's probably other RC ways to do that, but I don't know of them. That's just how the mechanism I use to trigger this this servo. Now, okay, let's take a closer look at the mechanism. Now this thing has been through hell. I have used this thing hundreds of times literally and crashed it, and it's been welded, repaired, and whatnot. But this is made of aluminum, which is a cylinder that I bored out, and another cylinder that's a spring cage. And you can see the piston is nothing but a bolt on this end with a spring inside it. And on this end is just a flat disc. That's the piston. That's it. And then here's the other end of that bolt. That's all there is to it, really. And then it's welded to a mounting strap, which is then bolted to the car. Now, in my case, what I've been finding here recently is I used to attach the parachute right here, which works fine. But in this particular car, a parachute mounting point is very important. If it has to pull, ideally you want it to pull in line with the center of gravity of the car. If it pulls higher or lower than that, it's going to either try to make the car wheelie or lift the rear tires off the ground when the parachute's deployed. Obviously neither one of those are desirable outcomes. And the problem I was having is, especially with a stronger parachute, is it would lift the back of the car off the ground, and then obviously it would go pretty much where it wanted to, which is usually the nearest ditch. So then I remounted this and drilled a hole here, and I'm pulling here now, the next level up, and this seems to help. It seems to calm down the car. It's not trying to lift the back tires as badly as it was before. But that's, like I say, that's something that's specific to this car, and whatever, if you try to do this on your own, you're going to have to play around with mounting points based on whatever car you're going to put this on. It's just simple as that. The wire itself here, I just pretty much got it zip tied to a stanchion here. You want this where it's running as straight as possible and not looped around stuff, because anything looped there is going to be lost motion. You want this to pull. Any movement here, you want to happen here, from one end to the other. And I just drilled a hole in the body, and the body itself actually helps to secure this. Instead of this flexing, it's located in the body so that it can't move, you know. Alright, well, now I'll put the body back on it, and I'll show it in action a couple times, and that'll be pretty much it. Okay, here's the back of the car. This car has I've made a drag style wing for a little bit of downforce. So the parachute sits just right under it, pretty much like a full-scale drag car, really not much different. And I try to kind of aim it upwards a little bit so that you try to throw the parachute up into the wind a little bit to get it deployed faster. But generally speaking, with this car, it's not much of an issue at all anyhow. Anyhow, here's the parachute deployment. Let me zoom in just a little. That's it. And at speed, that parachute will blossom and jerk your RC car to a stop really fast.